The first thing you should know about humans is that they are completely insane. Not the clinical kind. More like the let's point nuclear weapons at ourselves for 50 years in collit politics. Kind of insane. My name is Zex. 427B, Senior Cultural Anthropologist of the Galactic Federation's Diplomatic Corps. For the past 20 Earth years, I have been stationed on this blue-green planet, disguised as a moderately successful insurance adjuster named Bob Williams. The name lacks imagination, I know, but that's precisely why it works. No one pays attention to Bob Williams from accounting. This has afforded me the perfect cover to observe humanity in its natural habitat. Bob, did you finish those reports yet? My human supervisor, Derek, shouted across the office floor. Just wrapping them up? I replied, quickly minimizing the screen where I'd been composing my latest report to the Federation. The report that would change everything. You see, for millennia, the Galactic Federation had classified Earth as a do-not-contact planet. The reasoning was quite straightforward. Humans were deemed too violent, too unpredictable, and frankly, too self-destructive to join our peaceful collective of 7,429 civilized worlds. We have been monitoring Earth since the first hominids picked up bones as weapons. The Federation's official designation for humanity was Species 427, promising but problematic. That was before the Kzari came. The Kzari aren't part of our Federation. There's something else. Something ancient and terrible that moves between the stars like a virus, consuming entire civilizations. We first encountered them 50,000 years ago when they devoured the Arcturus system. Since then, they have been slowly but inexorably making their way through our galaxy, leaving only dust and silence in their wake. Our most advanced predictive models showed the Kzari would reach Earth sector in approximately 7 of your Earth years. Normally, the Federation would consider this regrettable, but ultimately inconsequential. Earth wasn't a member world. Protocol dictated non-interference. But then one of our xenobiologists made a startling discovery. Humans were unique in the galaxy, not in their intelligence or technology. Frankly, you were quite behind in those areas. No, humans were unique in their capacity for violence. Bob, are you listening to me? Derek was standing at my desk now, his coffee breath washing over me in waves. Sorry, deep in thought about the Johnson claim, I said, offering the smile I had practiced for 4.7 Earth years to perfect. Well, think faster. Meeting in 20 minutes. Derek walked away, leaving behind the lingering scent of his cologne, which always reminded me of the mating secretions of the Andorian slug beetles. Not a compliment. Where was I? Yes, human violence. You see, the Galactic Federation evolved beyond violence eons ago. Most species did, once they developed sufficient technology. Violence became inefficient, counterproductive. But humans? Humans developed nuclear weapons and then just kept them around. You created the internet and immediately used it to argue with strangers. Every technological advancement was quickly adapted for both creation and destruction. That IT was fascinating. Horrifying, but fascinating. Were you always typing? Asked Jessica from the desk beside mine. Jessica was nice for a human. She brought cookies to the office every Friday and seemed genuinely concerned about her fellow humans' well-being. Just notes, I said, quickly closing my secondary tablet where I'd been analyzing a particularly gruesome human conflict known as Twitter. You are weird, Bob, she said, but with a smile. But I like weird. I smiled back, feeling a momentary pang of what humans might call guilt. Jessica didn't know that her friendly office mate was an alien spy deciding the fate of her species. The Kzari had already destroyed 17 Federation worlds. Our peaceful ways, our advanced technology, our diplomatic overtures, all useless against them. The Kzari didn't negotiate. They didn't communicate. They consumed. Our scientists theorized that the only thing that might stop them was something they had never encountered before: unpredictable, irrational violence. The kind humans excelled at. All staff to the conference room, blared the intercom. I gathered my human papers and followed the herd of my co-workers, maintaining the slightly hunched posture I had adopted to appear less conspicuous among these shorter beings. Derek droned on about quarterly projections. I discreetly updated my report to the Federation High Council. Subject: Earth Classification Revision. Urgent. The time has come to reconsider our stance on human integration. While previous assessments correctly identified their violent tendencies, I propose these tendencies may be precisely what the Federation needs in the current crisis. Humans possess a quality unique in our galactic survey. They are simultaneously capable of great compassion and extreme savagery, often within the same individual. Recommendation: immediate contact and limited technology transfer. Arm the humans and point them at the Kzari. I paused, considering the enormity of what I was proposing. This went against thousands of years of Federation policy. If I was wrong, I would be arming an unpredictable species with technology they weren't ready for. If I was right, well, humanity might just save us all. Bob, any input on these numbers? Derek was staring at me, along with the rest of the room. They seem a bit optimistic, I said, having no idea what numbers he was referring to. Derek frowned. That's exactly what I was saying. Good to have backup on this. I nodded sagely, as if I had been paying attention the whole time. After the meeting, I returned to my desk to find a small paper note. Human communication could be so charmingly primitive sometimes. It was from Jessica. Lunch? You look like you could use a friend today. I hesitated. Fraternization with subjects was discouraged, but not explicitly forbidden. And Jessica was right. I could use a friend. The weight of my species-altering decision was heavy. Sandwiches at the park, I suggested when I stopped by her desk. Perfect, she smiled. The Earth weather was pleasant that day, what humans called spring. We sat on a park bench, watching small human offspring play on colorful structures. So what's really going on with you, Bob? You have been distracted for weeks. I consider my options. Federation protocol strictly prohibited revealing my true nature to natives. But Jessica was perceptive for a human, and I was about to potentially change the course of her species' history. Didn't she deserve some warning? If you knew something terrible was coming, I began carefully. But to stop it, you had to risk something precious. What would you do? Jessica took a bite of her sandwich, considering. That's pretty vague, Bob. Let's say, hypothetically, you knew a dangerous company was coming to take over your insurance firm, and the only way to stop them might be to give weapons to the mailroom staff. Jessica blinked. Are you planning a workplace shooting, Bob? Because I should tell you, I'm legally obligated to report that. No, nothing like that. I backpedaled. It's a thought experiment. Weird thought experiment, she said, but then continued. Well, I'd probably try to find another option first. But if there wasn't one, and if this hypothetical evil company was truly terrible, I'd have to weigh the risks against the consequences of doing nothing. I nodded. Jessica's wisdom was simple but sound. Bob, are you in some kind of trouble? Like witness protection or something? You have always been different. If only she knew how different. Nothing like that. Just some decisions weighing on me. That night, in my apartment, a carefully curated collection of generic human furnishings, I finalized my report. The Federation Council would not be pleased, but the evidence was compelling. The Kzari were coming, and our peaceful ways had failed us. We needed humanity's chaotic, unpredictable violence that I sent the transmission and waited. For 3 Earth days, nothing happened. I went to work, pretended to care about insurance claims, and avoided Jessica's concerned glances. Then, on the 4th day, I received the response, request approved. Contact protocol initiated. Prepare the humans that I nearly fell out of my ergonomically incorrect human chair. They had actually agreed. Now came the hard part. How exactly does one tell humanity they are not alone in the universe, and that they are being recruited as galactic mercenaries? As it turned out, I didn't have to figure that out. The Federation had decided on a more direct approach that IT happened during what humans call rush hour, that bizarre period when they all decide to travel at once, ensuring maximum inefficiency. The Federation ships appeared over every major Earth city simultaneously. Massive, gleaming vessels that made your aircraft carriers look like bath toys. Panic predictably ensued that I was stuck in traffic when it happened, part of my commitment to the full human experience. The ship above our city was the Diplomatic Corps flagship, the Harmonious Accord, ironically named, considering its current mission, .my communication device. Not the primitive human smartphone, carried as part of my disguise, but my actual Federation communicator, chimed with an incoming priority message. Anthropologist Zex, 427b, report to extraction point immediately for mission briefing. Finally, I could shed this uncomfortable human disguise. I had grown rather attached to some aspects of humanity, but their bodies were terribly designed. The spine alone was an engineering nightmare. The AS. I prepared to abandon my vehicle and make my way to the extraction point. My human phone rang. It was Jessica. Bob, are you seeing this? There are actual spaceships everywhere. Is this the end of the world? Are you okay? Her voice contained that uniquely human blend of terror and excitement. I found myself unexpectedly moved by her concern for me amid what she must believe was an alien invasion. I'm Fina, Jessica. Stay calm. These visitors, they are not here to harm anyone. How could you possibly know that? She demanded a fair question. Just trust me. I have to go now. Go where? Bob, what's going on? I hesitated, then made a decision that definitely violated protocol. Meet me at the office in 1 hour. I will explain everything. I disconnected before she could respond and made my way through the chaos of the streets toward the beamed-down coordinates the Federation had sent. The extraction point was in a small park near my office building. As I approached, a shimmering field of energy appeared, screening the area from curious human eyes. Inside the field stood Ambassador Trell, my direct superior. Anthropologist Zex, she greeted me formally. Unlike me, she had not adopted a human disguise, standing nearly 7 feet tall with her characteristic purple skin and forearms. Your recommendations have caused quite the stir in the council. The evidence was compelling, I replied, straightening to my full height for the first time in years. My bones creaked in protest. Indeed, the council has authorized first contact and limited technology transfer. You will serve as our primary liaison with human leadership, given your extensive experience with their culture. I'm honored. But are we certain this is the right course? Humans are unpredictable. Ambassador Trell's expression hardened. The Kzari will reach this sector in 7 years. 17 Federation worlds are already dust. We are out of options, anthropologist Zex. Humanity's violence is now our greatest hope. Put like that, it was hard to argue. Still, I felt uneasy. There is one more thing, I said. I have arranged to meet with a human who might be helpful. She's observant, intelligent, and has a good understanding of human nature. Trell looked skeptical. Your office colleague? The one called Jessica. I shouldn't have been surprised they knew about her. Yes, she could help us understand how humans will react to all this. Very well. Bring her to the main diplomatic vessel once you have explained the situation. And Zex? Remember, the fate of multiple civilizations may rest on how well we manage this first contact. No pressure. With that encouraging thought, Ambassador Trell disappeared in a shimmer of teleportation energy. I made my way to the office building, which was eerily empty except for security guards watching the ships on their phones. And Jessica, pacing nervously by my desk. Bob, thank God you are here. What's happening? The news is saying it's first contact with alien life, and I'm freaking out. And why are you looking at me like that? I took a deep breath. Jessica, I need to tell you something important. I'm not actually Bob Williams from accounting. She stared at me. Are you with the government? Is this some kind of men in black situation? Not exactly. I reached up and pressed the small device behind my ear that maintained my human appearance. With a brief shimmer, my true form was revealed. 7 feet tall, blue-skinned, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Jessica screamed, then fainted. Not the reaction I was hoping for, but not unexpected either. When she came to a few minutes later, I had resumed my human appearance to ease the shock. Please don't scream again, I said gently. I promise I mean no harm. I have been your co-worker for years. I'm still the same person who helps you fix the copy machine and compliments your cookies. You are an alien, she whispered, eyes wide. Yes, my real name is Zex, 427B, Senior Cultural Anthropologist of the Galactic Federation's Diplomatic Corps. Why are you here? Why is this happening now? I explained everything. The Federation, our long observation of Earth, the Kzari threat, and my recommendation that had led to today's events. So let me get this straight, Jessica said when I finished. Your peaceful alien federation has decided that humans, who you have been avoiding because we are too violent, are now your best hope against these Kzari monsters. That's essentially correct. That's completely insane. Also correct. Jessica stood up and paced around the office. So what happens now? You give us advanced weapons and point us at the bad aliens. It's more complicated than that. We need to establish diplomatic relations, create a framework for technology transfer, train humans to use our technology effectively, while an unstoppable alien horde gets closer every day. I nodded grimly. Well, Jessica said, straightening her shoulders. When do we start? Her resilience surprised me, though perhaps it shouldn't have. It was this very human quality, the ability to face impossible odds with determination rather than despair, that we were counting on. Now, actually, I have been authorized to bring you to the diplomatic vessel as an advisor on human psychology. Jessica let out a slightly hysterical laugh. Me? I'm an insurance claims processor with a psychology degree I never used, which makes you more qualified than anyone in the Federation to understand how humans will react to all this. The next few months were a blur of activity. Earth governments reacted to first contact with predictable chaos, panic, disbelief, religious upheaval, and finally, cautious cooperation. The Federation revealed the Kzari threat, and humanity, true to form, unified more effectively against a common enemy than they ever had for peace. Jessica proved invaluable, helping translate Federation concepts into terms humans could understand and predicting how various Earth cultures would react to different aspects of our proposal. You can't just give advanced weapons to existing military structures, she explained during one tense meeting with Federation military advisors. You'll trigger Earth power struggles that will make us useless against the real threat. Instead, she proposed a new joint Earth Defense Force, with representatives from all nations trained directly by Federation experts. It was brilliant, bypassing existing power structures while giving everyone a stake in the outcome. The technology transfer began cautiously. First, offensive systems to protect Earth, then faster-than-light communication, and finally, weapons systems specially designed to combat the Kzari. Throughout it all, I watched humanity with new eyes. Yes, they were violent, unpredictable, and often irrational, but they were also adaptable, creative, and fiercely protective of their own. The very qualities that had kept them off the Federation membership roster were now their greatest assets. 0.6 Earth years later, the first Kzari scout ships entered the solar system. By then, Earth's Joint Defense Fleet, a mixture of Federation technology and human ingenuity, was ready. The battle that followed was unlike anything the Federation had ever seen. Where Federation tactics had always been logical, methodical, and ultimately ineffective against the Kzari, human commanders were erratic, employing feints, traps, and sacrificial maneuvers that seemed to make no sense until they suddenly did. The Kzari scout fleet was decimated. This is just the beginning, I cautioned during the victory celebrations. Jessica, now Earth's primary diplomatic liaison to the Federation, nodded in agreement. They will send more ships, bigger ships, she said. But we will be ready, I said, watching humans and Federation representatives celebrating together. For species we once deemed too violent for peace, you have adapted remarkably well to galactic citizenship. Jessica smiled. Maybe we just needed the right motivation. Nothing brings people together like a common enemy. And what happens after? If we defeat the Kzari? She considered this. That's the real test, isn't it? Whether we can hold on to this unity without an external threat. Whether we have grown enough to join your peaceful Federation for Real. The main Kzari fleet was still coming. The real war hadn't even begun. But standing there, watching humans and aliens working together toward a common goal, I felt something I hadn't expected. Hope. Humanity had been deemed too violent for peace. Now, they were the galaxy's last hope for salvation. And perhaps, in saving the galaxy, they might finally find their place in IT.as for me. Bob Williams from accounting was gone forever. But Zex, 427b had found something unexpected on this strange, violent, beautiful planet. A home. Jessica nudged me. You're thinking deep thoughts again. I can tell because your left eye is twitching. Just considering the strange paths that brought us here, I said. Well, consider later. Right now, we have a galaxy to save. And with that very human mix of determination and humor, she led me back into celebration, back toward the future neither of us could have imagined when we were just two co-workers sharing sandwiches in the park, one of us secretly an alien. The universe, it seemed, had a strange sense of humor. And perhaps, just perhaps, that was exactly what we needed to survive.